My goal is not to check somebody and put him in his place or her and tell them what I think of them. Those are two different things. Also in the room, my goal was not to get them to like me. My goal was to get them to feel heard, to feel respected, for me to be professional. And I think we bring the wrong terms because it's confusing. If I want you to like me too, think of it this way, then I'm going to think I have to be nice to him. I have to be his friend. And when you're in business, you can be warm, but when you start becoming people's friends, that's when the lines get blurred and we get confused. And in fact, there's research done by Susan Fisk and Chris Malone, and they say, be warm to people, be open and approachable, but if you're overly nice, overly kind, overly polite, that's when you get rolled. You want to find that beautiful balance where I'm a professional, I'm warm, I'm non-judgmental, come talk to me, tell me, but at the same time, I maintain my authority, I maintain my boundaries. What people do is they don't address things, they let it go. It's small, and then it happens again. It's small, then again, and then we become resentful. We become pissed. Why does this person keep doing it? Why don't they self-correct? Again, it goes back to me. Why haven't I addressed it? People are afraid of conflict. Conflict can be done in a great way. You have to think of conflict think of it as like I'm competing. I can speak to you, not raise my voice, not make it ugly, and debate something with you. In the White House, next to the Oval Office was the cabinet room. The cabinet room is where the president would sit with all his heads, Secretary of Treasury, Secretary of Homeland Security, and they would discuss and debate policies, laws, and they would compete. One person would say, I don't like this idea, this is why. Another person would say, well, this idea doesn't work, this is why. You have to be comfortable in doing that. Most people are not. They don't understand that you can sit somebody down and say, hey, this happened, can you tell me about that? I had someone who worked for me and she had made a mistake on something. And so it was a pretty big mistake. So I called her up and I said, hey, you know what, this and this happened, talk me through it. And I let her explain and, she said, I'm sorry, this and that, there's a reason why. But the one thing I did, I said, because I wanted to rectify it, because I didn't want it to happen again, I was like, is there anything I can do to help make your job better so you can be more successful at what you do? Because I want to hear, is there something I'm doing or not doing that's impacting her decision-making or the way she sees things? So it's a twofold. But you also, too, when it comes to respect, and this is a whole separate thing you brought up, with the respect part, just make sure people are truly disrespecting you and that's not your ego that feels disrespected. Because sometimes people can't take somebody pushing back. And if my goal is to make a great product or business deal or transaction, then everything we do should be in furtherance of that. But what happens is, Stephen, people are so afraid of hurting other people's feelings or stepping on other people's toes. Nobody says something, and that's worse. I'm quick to jump and I don't want to say go into attack mode, but I have it. I'm Greek. I grew up in New York and Queens. It's just on. So I always have to, my immediate response is what? Internally, inside voice. I pause and I'm like, hang on. Is this person telling me something or doing something that I should hear? Right? Maybe they're telling I made a mistake and they're trying to help me make something better. Or is this person crossing a boundary that I don't want them to cross? So then I will sit that person down or have a conversation. Hey, can you tell me about this? What were you thinking when this happened? Walk me through it. But I will tell you, non-judgmental, right? You don't want to show it. I call it the poker face. Just don't show it and let them talk and just see what they're thinking. Most people, as they're talking to you, Stephen, they will on their own realize as they talk through it what they made wrong. What they did wrong. Also, you lead by example. So sometimes I'll make a mistake. I'll miss a deadline with someone I work with. And I'll say, listen, I'm sorry. I was traveling. I own it. Tell me what I need to do to fix it. And what I have found when I do that, the people I work with, when they make a mistake and I'm like, hey, what happened with this? You know what, Evy? I'm sorry. I missed the deadline. I own it. I'll fix it. They reflect back what I show them. So I think it also shows in the behavior. And then there's sometimes, Stephen, sometimes you'll bring somebody in that just should not be there. And then you also have to make that hard decision because that one person, it will destroy the fabric of the group. One person can't do that because everybody else around now watches that interaction and they're thinking, well, Steven doesn't care. I was like, he's letting this guy do this, so I can do this, right? It's like, I compare it to like when I teach. So as I said, I'm an adjunct professor. I teach college. I teach undergrad criminal justice. First day of class, when they come in, I tell them no cell phones. I was like, and the reason I have you do no cell phones is not because I want you to respect me or this and that. I was like, I owe you an education. I owe you an education. I know some professors don't care, but I tell my students, day one, I give a shit. And because I give a shit, I don't want to see the phone in the class. However, I do something else. It's an influence strategy. I give them autonomy. I say, however, you can leave this classroom anytime you want to check Facebook, go on Instagram. I don't care. You have that autonomy. But in here, I want you to respect the sanctity of the classroom because you deserve education and I owe it to you. And I set that standard. And side note, there's a video clip that I showed day one and you're actually in it. I didn't even know who you were. There's a clip of you and some others. It's a montage of videos together talking about social media and how it impacts you adversely and cell phones and cell phone addiction and all that. And I actually play that clip. And can I tell you, it resonates with everybody and I have no problems the rest of the semester. But I set that tone and I tell them, if I see the phone, you're going home. No hard feelings. I'm going to pause class and I'm going to send you home. And then if somebody violates it though, I do it. I would say to you, when you do speak, do you look at people when you speak? Do you project your voice? So it's called paralinguistics. Everyone's so focused on what they say, like reading my notes or reading my agenda. They don't think about the tone, pitch of the voice. How are you delivering this? Are you projecting your voice? Or do you
Give me an example.
Do you talk like this when you speak? I have a question. I just want to share something. People are going to like glaze over. I have a question. Or you're, even just the tone, how you end your, hi, I'm Evy. Hi, I'm Evy. Feels different. Mm-hmm. Those are simple things you can do to make sure people hear you. The other thing is, I say this a lot when I speak to companies because communication's a big thing. Don't just talk to talk. There's this thing out there, and especially with women, where it's like, make sure they hear you. Make sure your voice is heard at the table. I'm fine with that. Do you have something beneficial to say or value to say? Because if you don't say anything. Half the meetings I go to, I don't speak because I have nothing to say. They know Steven's going to say something. He doesn't always speak, but if he's going to say something, every time he drops something of value. Whereas people think like I have to talk because everyone tells me I have to talk, make my voice heard. No, shut up. Even when I go to meetings, or sometimes I go to meetings and if I'm the dumbest person in the room, I'm the happiest person. Mm-hmm. That's the one time where I'm happy because I'm thinking, wow, look at all these smart people around me and I get to be part of this. I get to listen. I love to sit back and listen. There's times, I just had a meeting with like my scripted agent, Sylvie, with my manager about some TV project. And I knew enough to say, they're like, hey, Evy, this and this. And I said, you know what? This is a space I don't know. I'm going to follow your lead. Fill me in. I'm taking a seat back. You guys do the talking.